So I wanted to share with you in this recording some of the Google search syntax that I use most often as shortcuts when I'm doing desk research, when I'm initially looking to find out something about a client, a product, or a service. I'm going to go through 7 of the operators that I use most often. There are about 40 plus at the moment that Google support, and some of them work on other search engines as well. If you go online, you'll find that comprehensive list. But I wanted to show you the ones that I find most useful as when I'm doing UX research. So I'm going to start with a simple one. I'm going to paste in here site:/clearleft.com and hit return. And that just restricts the results that come back to things that are on the domain of clearleft.com. There's a couple of useful things here. It gives me an immediate sense of how big the website is, how many pages are indexed by Google, 1,860 in this case. And then if I go through the list, I have a fairly immediate sense of some of the things that are on the clearleft.com domain. So my second operator that I use, and again, I'm going to copy and paste this in so you don't have to see me typing, is to search for clearleft, but this time I'm going to use the minus or the exclude command. So I want you to find everything to do with clearleft, but I'm going to exclude from that search the domain clearleft.com. If I hit return, we will see those results. This is useful as a very quick way to get a sense of where a company, a product, a service is being mentioned across the web outside of the domain that you might be looking at, the client's domain themselves. So if I go through here, I can see instantly that clearleft have got a LinkedIn account, Twitter account, Medium account, things that you might expect, but things that are worth investigating. They appear on Clutch and Crunchbase, both places with market data, business data. That might be interesting to look into. And I can go through that list having excluded anything from the clearleft domain itself. My third operator that I like to use is using the wildcard. So in this case, I'm going to do a search on the site clearleft.com. There's an asterisk before clearleft.com, which is to say that's looking for anything that has clearleft.com in it. But in this case, I'm going to minus www. So I'm going to take away the main domain for clearleft.com. I'm going to hit return. What we see here is generally with clients, the subdomains that they have, the microsites, the exhibitions, potentially the pattern libraries, maybe some of those experimental projects. It's a good way of seeing where else a client has material online that might be more difficult to see if you were just going through a whole list of just a search on their name, for example. So here I can see they've got a Springboard account. There's a microsite called postcard.clearleft. There's previous archived versions of the website. I can see they've got a podcast, and that's on a separate domain. So immediately I've got a sense of some of the other content which the client has produced, is interested in, and that gives me a shortcut to go and see that material. My fourth operator that I like to use is the related term. So if you put related colon and the name of a website, this time I've put ucl.ac.uk. That's University College London. That's a client that I'm currently working with. But if I look what is related to them, I get a list of competitor websites. So this isn't definitive. You know, if you were looking for a list of competitors and comparators, you would definitely ask users where they go. You would ask stakeholders who they think their competitors are. But doing desk research, I've got a very quick way of getting a list of some of the places that I might want to investigate as competitors based on Google's algorithm. So that becomes a useful shortcut when I'm doing that initial desk research. My next tip for using Google for searching is to use the exclude function. So if I put in a common term that can be used in multiple places, I'm going to use the word fender as my example here. But if I'm trying to understand a client, a product or a service, and their name brings back lots of results, let me say that I'm not a robot in this case. That might be that I've been using Google in a myriad of ways recently. So if I put in fender, I've got a long list of various results. But if I'm looking for a project around boating and canals, I don't want to be looking at guitars. So I can put in the exclude symbol, put in guitar, and then the results will come back with any site that has guitar in it excluded from that. So that's narrowing down my site search. That is helping me get closer to understanding the world of fenders when it comes to moorings and canals. But I can see in here there's quite a lot of mentions of Sam Fender, the musician. So again, I can add another exclude. So now I'm excluding both guitar and Sam, and my results are getting closer to what I might want to be looking at. And I can put as many excludes in that list as I possibly want. So this is a really useful alternative to trying to find more precise terms. I'm looking at that list and I'm just getting rid of some of the things that I want to take out of that possible list. So they're the syntaxes. I've got two more useful tools that Google give you when it comes to desk research. The first one of those that I like to use is the predictive search. So if I put in here the client I was talking about earlier, University College London, and as I type, you'll see results come up. And in predictive search, what I've got is a short but potentially useful list for the queries that people are making that I can then go and look at the website to see, is this material readily available? Is it apparent where people should go for that material? If I go through this list, University College London acceptance rate, that would be interesting to see if that material is available on their website, if that is easy to find. Equally, people looking for open days, is that promoted on the website? And you can then do that cross-reference with the content that exists. And again, it's not definitive, but it gives you a starting point to find out what people are looking for and to match that with the content on a website. And then the final search that I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to clear left here, is to put clear left in. And I'm going to use the image tag, the image search, just to see what kind of images come up, to give me a flavor of the company, the product, the service, to see what's included within that list of images, and equally what's surprising or what I'm expecting to see that isn't there. So there are 7 ways that I use Google and the syntax that they provide and the search tools that they provide to get a flavor of a client, a product, or a service when I'm starting a project. As I say, there are more operators available. You can find lists of those online, but hopefully some of those will be useful when you are also doing some UX research.